I mean, that was amazing, wasn't it? And I must admit, a bit scary. I mean, imagine what these people are able to read. And he's probably a very prominent one, but I do believe there are more people out there that have similar skills. So I have the honor to welcome here really a very exclusive group of people. I would love that these people just kind of introduce themselves here. I'll probably start with Pierre first here, and just we take the round. Just a bit about yourself and the company, but in particular, I'm really interested in what was your first experience with social engineering, and what you learned about it?
Yes. The first time, my name is Pierre Carlo Motzo. I'm from Karstadt Galeria, and the first contact with social engineering attacks was in my youth time in the German military. And we have expected when we go outside in some bars, we don't talk each other people or my job. This is the first try of this.
Right. Patrick, what about you?
Yeah, my name is Patrick. I'm CEO and founder of aixpedIT, and as a security operations center provider, we experience human hacking attacks like every day. And what I find very fascinating is, I think we have some people here that do enhanced video reading, right? So if you could teach an AI the skills of him, I think we don't need any passwords anymore.
Right, right. Rob.
Yeah, hey, I'm Rob, CTO of Monarx, cybersecurity, anti-malware. And the very first for social engineering, right? That was what you were thinking? I think it's when I convinced my brothers and sisters to do anything I wanted when I was younger. That was the first time.
Right. Fred.
Yes, my name is Fred. As you see, I'm from the German Federal Criminal Police Office, Bundeskriminalamt. I am officer there for nearly 36 years now, and I spend most of my time in the divisions of organized crime and cybercrime. Yes, and my first connection with social engineering, I think a lot of crimes, of fraud crimes, already are social engineering. When one person manipulates another person and moves another person to do something, to pay money, for example. So that is also social engineering in very, very many cases. But when I started in the cybercrime unit 2008, then directly I was inside the subject because online banking started and all the mechanisms to cheat you, to create victims in online banking. So that was the big first wave I could remember.
Thanks, Fred. Let's continue with you. We often read in the press a lot of groups, well-known, we read names. What do we really know about their motivation, about their goals? What is their intention?
Well, there are different types of motivation. Of course, you have some kind of state-led groups that some kind of political motivated crimes commit. But in the most part of the cases, they want your best, the money. Yeah? So the motivation of the groups and organizations is to get money. And it started with normal online banking frauds. Later on, it started with the decryption of data of your personal computer at home, and you were asked to spend to pay money, ransom. And now we have a very high developed ransomware industry where companies are completely attacked, where the IT systems, the files completely are decrypted, and we have different types of extortion now, and this is in a very, very good organized matter.
Patrick, may I ask you, you're observing this market since a long time. Have their goal changed now? Is there some movement in the market? Have their targets changed? Have their intention changed over the recent years? Or is it still kind of the traditional business we're in since years?
So I think what never will change is they're after our money. And when you look at cybercrime as a business model, there has been 8,000 billion money in frauds paid last year. So I think that's compared to our industry, I think, and it's tax-free. So it's really hard. And I know that the police is always for not paying the ransom, but when we have customers that are attacked by a ransomware, which may be introduced through a human hacking attack like we saw today, I mean, if it's that easy, why do we even protect our physical entities if the passwords are out on the streets? So we always come into a very distinct conflict when we have a customer that is onboarded that has been hacked, because most of the time the incident starts out with a very, very high number in money to pay for the ransom, and once they start talking with the guys that hacked them, the money drops down a bit, and it's always a very, very close call to tell, is it a good idea to pay the ransom and get my data back, or to continue working with the police and trying to get the guys so they can't hack the next one. And that's always a very thin line.
Patrick, I think the most interesting trick is the ankle trick. You know,
Yeah.
Everybody knows this trick, but so many people lost their money about this.
Yeah, so it's like the grandma trick. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a word in English. You know about that?
What is
Like 30 years ago, when people came and went door to door to old people and
Yeah.
pretended to be like a grandchild.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, and now we have this digitized and ready to scale.
For sure.
Rob, how do you see this social engineering, how do you see cybersecurity evolving over the last years from your view?
So the biggest thing I've seen, or I'm seeing as a change, you're talking about engineering. I'm a grandson, grandparent, all of that. Don't know how many of you know, but the emails from like the Prince of Nigeria or whatever, that are just completely ridiculous. They've got spelling errors, grammar is horrible, kind of the thing. That was all intentional. They're not dumb. They're actually quite intelligent. They were weeding all of you out, so they didn't have to spend time with all of you. They could target the people who were very vulnerable. What you're seeing now with phishing and all of that is the quality of it is just going through the roof. And the reason for that is because same way you put your help desk behind Gen AI, save a lot of money, they can put the abuse and the scamming behind Gen AI, and so they can take a huge swath compared to what they were able to. And I think that trend of it's now kind of moving the long tail, the ransomware, everything, just is going to impact more and more humans. That's unfortunately the trend I see.
I think what we see in technology, I mean, it keeps evolving, right? So now we have a huge amount of AI tools. We can do pictures, we can do text, we can do videos.
Have you had one of the scammers call you and say, this is Chase Bank and we want to talk to you about?
I had, just today, this morning, I had a call from PayPal.
Nice.
So a fake call from PayPal that told me, hey, there's a fraud with 600 euros, you have to press 1 now.
Yeah.
Didn't do it, of course, but
Don't.
don't press 1. But I think what we see, especially for our customers, is there's no way to get 100% secure.
No.
And even if you have a 100% secure system, you are still not sure that there's somebody logging in with a password he just humanly hacked, like we saw today on stage. And even if you have multi-factor authentication activated, one guy might still just click enable, and they're in. So that's why what we try to do is, in our systems, we integrate every technology the customer has, and we also watch over positive actions. So if there's an anomaly between SAP, Azure AD, and your phone, we can try to detect it, that it's something out of the ordinary, stop it, and then try to reach out to the end customer and talk about it if it's a false positive.
Did you know in penetration testing, they actually this is when you go and you try to certify the system's secure and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the most fun.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. But in the contracts, they almost always say you're not allowed to do any social engineering. You can't target the weakest point of the system, the human. It's just
Yeah, in pen testing,
you will always win if you do that.
Yeah, I think that's an issue in the whole industry. I think I'm speaking for the most guys here. We're all techies, so we're all nerds. We like technology and we like evolving technology and new stuff. But one thing that hasn't changed over the past 30 years is that it's a human sitting at the keyboard. And we might change the keyboard for a mouse or for an Apple Vision Pro, but it's still a human, and that's the weakest link in security.
Pierre, may I ask you something about, you're in a special situation right now. We know that the Benko group get bankrupt, and now you're kind of in a really tricky situation. Do you see any impact of this at Galeria Kaufhof?
That's a good question, but I think it doesn't matter of the Benko situation. What we see is a massive increase of AA-based social engineering attacks. We combine many technologies, Microsoft E5 license and Cisco security parts, and combine it with a SOC, with a cloud SOC from Pratek. And what we see is the correlation of the most social engineering attacks the first attack is a social engineering attack.
Right.
And we think the only way to defend the situation is to train the employees with some security trainings, right, and combine it with some techniques, also with SOC, to track and monitoring the situation. And I think it's the only way.
Right. I mean, Rob, we were just saying we actually don't know how much these hackers are into our organization already. Do we have a kind of idea how many people, how many hackers, how many things are in sleeper mode, and what do we expect from them when they will turn active?
Yeah, I actually think that people have an idea that happens more often than it probably does. The only reason you would be in sleeper mode as an attacker is if you were doing some kind of an espionage attack. And so in that case, yeah, you want to make sure nobody knows. But if you're a criminal, you don't want the money tomorrow. You want the money today. And so other than espionage, I think by and large, the attacks happen as soon as they can.
The problem is, for a social engineering attack, you need no coding engineering skills. When you are the master of puppets, I call it, you manipulate so many people. And the problem is, when the people are not trained to the situation, the people are lost. Not all people, or not all employees are ready for cyber criminality.
And I think as a very honorable goal as it is to train all the employees for cybersecurity, I think we all know we can't do 100%. And if we would do it, give it our best shot, we would have to have one meeting per week with all the employees and show them, hey, it's a new phishing site from LinkedIn, and that's a new phishing site from here. And now we have a PayPal call I had today, so everybody's aware.
The problem is that as a human being, you want to naturally trust people. Yeah. And so if it's presented in the right way, it doesn't matter how much training you have. I want to trust you. This sounds plausible. Oh no, that you're in danger, or you need my help, or whatever it is. It's just human nature is unfortunately very trusting.
Right, Fred.
Yes, I want to add. It's absolutely important to get a higher level of awareness inside companies, sure, offices, public administrations, but not only the employees, also the management, and that's more important. Because if the management does not think IT security and awareness is something very important, and you're not a good example, and to show that this is a very, very important subject also for you, then nobody will believe you. So it must be the management board must be a good example, and go one step in front of the others and show, hey, it's a very, very important aspect for us all. IT security is not only an add-on, nice to have. It is a relevant and I think critical business factor.
But it's a cost center.
Of course.
So it's very difficult to justify for a lot of these executives that have never felt any of the pain.
That's the problem we have in the German police, and I think all police forces on the world. How do you measure the success of prevention?
Exactly.
Yeah? But one other example, a car, when you want to be a member of the traffic on the streets, you're only allowed to drive a car when it's technically checked, and if it's more or less safe, if the brakes are working, if the lights are working and everything is okay. And so I think we should we should bring a little bit more into our mind that also our IT systems, where we are connected with all over the world, all parts of the world, we have to invest. But of course, nobody can give you or should tell you you have to spend this sum of money in your company. So that's different. Of course, you have big companies, you have global player, you have small companies. But the idea, IT security is very important. It's a case for the chief, for the management. That is still not in all companies included or in the mind.
For sure not.
No.
Continuing the story, I mean, Patrick, we have official authorities, we have providers, we have software suppliers, we have customers. Now, in particular with these kind of law enforcement versus providers, how do you think they work together now, today, and what should be improved, changed?
So what I really like in working with your colleagues is when there is an incident, it's always easy to reach guys from the BKA and to work in the cybercrime. That's really great.
Kudos.
When you get to the thin line I talked earlier about, to paying the ransom versus working with the police, because once you pay the ransom, guys are gone. There's no way to track back the Bitcoin blockchain or anything like that. So the only way for the police to get them is to keep negotiating, and sometimes the only way for the customer to actually exist tomorrow is to pay the ransom.
Yeah.
Because when your whole production is like halted, it's a really thin line. What I would love to have, at least for the German market, is some sort of certification that is like the bare minimum of cybersecurity that every company has to have. We have something similar with the GDPR stuff we have in Europe, but it's not enough in the cybersecurity space. And I think that would be a great thing to have a security baseline to go out.
I love the idea, but I'm concerned, would that meaningfully impact, because most of the ransomware is not coming because of, our firewall wasn't up to date or, something like that. Most of the ransomware attacks start with
People.
Social engineering. And
Exactly. So let's include security awareness, and let's try to...
So that's kind of what you're thinking is the bare minimum would be the education level that everyone would have. I like it.
The bare minimum would be for everybody not to click red links.
Indeed.
I would like to add something to the question, paying ransom or no paying ransom. I have understood your opinion or the opinion of your customers, and I can understand it. If your system is down and you cannot earn money, then you have a big problem at that moment. But if you pay ransom, there's no guarantee that you get your data back.
Exactly.
There were a few examples where that was successful. We know a lot of examples where the companies paid and nothing happened. So, and then another mind. If you pay, what do? You give the criminal organization more power to attack in the future with better attacks. And you show that you are willing to pay. So, and who guarantees you that the criminals haven't put any backdoor in your system? So if you pay once, maybe you get your data back. Who gives you the guarantee that maybe 1 month or 2 months later the second attack will arrive? Nobody will guarantee that. And that are the reasons why we as a police say, no, don't pay ransom. And we have a few examples where we have an international coordination with our colleagues from the United States. We have excellent cooperation with the FBI, with our Dutch colleagues, with the colleagues from UK, Netherlands. And we work together, we do investigation cases together. And for example, in Germany, we have concentrated the investigation against a specific ransomware group in one Bundeskriminalamt or one Landeskriminalamt. So we don't have the fact, if you have 100 attacks, that 100 different police stations start to investigate. We have stopped that because it's a waste of resources. We say, well, this Lockbit, for example, the investigation was led by colleagues from the Landeskriminalamt in Schleswig-Holstein, the northern German country. So, and Lockbit was mostly destroyed. Well, there are small signals, maybe we are back, we are not dead, but we'll have to check how powerful they are still or not. Yeah? We destroyed Emotet a few years ago. So in one case, we seized 90 million of euros in Bitcoin. So there are There are successful stories.
Absolutely.
And when anybody gets into your house, a burglar, what's the first thing you do? You call the police. Not only to get a receipt to bring it to your insurance, to get the money back. No, because you hope that the police can find some evidence, fingerprints or DNA, and of course, not the next or 2 days later they will arrest a criminal. But sometimes when they put cases together, they collect the evidence. Then after a few months, they have identified a criminal, a suspect, and he gets arrested. And that's the same system here. If we don't get the knowledge of cases, we cannot try to seize evidence, and then, okay, we stop at the beginning.
I'm kind of curious. You talk about seizing as evidence. It's pretty obvious to most of us if somebody breaks into our house, what do you not touch? Everything they touched. Great, it's perfect. Somebody conducts a ransomware attack on my organization. I want to call the police. I want to get all the evidence. I want to do that. But I have no idea what should I keep, what should I not touch? How can I not contaminate?
That's the reason why we try to convince the people. If you call an IT security agency to bring my system back, call the police. We don't come with an armada of police cars with blue light to your house. We know that this is something you don't like, this public awareness. No, we come secret, silent, with our IT experts. We go together with you, for example, into a company, and let's evaluate the situation in common. What login files do you need? What do we need? First the login to us, then you can start to repair the system, to play the backups inside. But if your companies go in first, then after that for us nothing more to find.
So the experience I talked about earlier is when we have a positive case of a ransomware attack at one of our customers, or most of the time it's new customers that say, hey, we just had a ransomware attack. Didn't you guys sell? You can help. We always work together with the police. So I have a number in Hamburg I can call, the Cybercrime division, and they have very good IT experts, and it's always a pleasure to work with them. But the moment that the customer is just going to be bankrupt if he doesn't get his data back, I think that shortens the time of investigation for the police, because they can continue the investigation, but the company is just done and not existing anymore. And that is a very hard decision to take on what to do. And I think that's one more point to going into prevention and to trying to get the number of cyber attacks down by doing a good job in talking to your end users, have a good prevention system, have good cybersecurity, and have very good awareness about what's happening out in the world and how easy it is to obtain access.
Yeah. Fred, let me just continue one of your answers. Here, there are many providers here in this room here, and some of them are running really critical infrastructure. How would you say you can support us, can help us make the systems more safe?
Yeah. Thank you for this question, but you mentioned I'm from the BKA, I'm from the Criminal Police Office. It's not our task to bring the IT systems on the better level of quality. Yeah? That's in Germany in the area of responsibility of the Federal Office of Information Security, the Bundesamt für Sicherheit in der Informationstechnik, BSI, and they have a lot of recommendations, manuals, flyers to give a lot of information for also for smaller companies to bring the IT systems on the minimum protected level. And our task is of course to bring prevention messages to the people, yeah, awareness campaigns. So together with our colleagues from the local police forces, we tried 8 years ago. Very often I heard in these conferences when they want to make a complaint, the officer at the local police station, he is not experienced. He does not what to note. And we told them, yes, you're right. And so we implemented in Germany an exception of the normal rule. The normal rule is go to the next police station. No, the exception is for companies, in case of cyber attacks, go to the specialized cybercrime office of the responsible Landeskriminalamt. In every capital, in every German federal states, we have a Landeskriminalamt. And we have created, in German, it's called Zentrale Ansprechstellen Cybercrime, central spots in cases for cybercrime for the economic sector. There are the cybercrime experts. the best is to contact them before something happens. So you can ask, well, if a case happens, what are my direct best contacts? What do you need very fast from me? What can I get from you? So to get into contact before something happened. And if the case happened, then you have a very, very good hotline, and the colleagues come very, very fast out and try to repair now what can be repaired, find to seize evidence, and bring together with others your system back.
Which is probably true for all countries in Europe, that they have this official context they should really engage with before it's too late. Pierre, just one question about, I mean, we're in difficult times. We have this war for talent, in particular the high-skilled talent in special vertical topics like cybersecurity. In these times, under these difficult conditions you're in as well, how do you deal with it?
I think the talents are very small in cybersecurity, and some talents are frustrated in the daily business because they must fix or prevent old systems.
Right.
And the problem is the life cycle from the most business cases are so overwhelming and so old, and the energy must be to protect the old systems. When you go to normal life cycle and we go to the newer processes and newer hardware, newer software, and goes in mid-time, we have no more or less problems with IT security. It's the same with multi-factor authentication. Why do we not use passwordless authentication? It's the same. This is a problem. And what we see in Germany and also in Europe, we are so fast in some innovations, but in cybersecurity, I think this is the most problem. When I see some, we called it Strom...
Energy providers?
Energy providers. They have so old systems, and we need to update them.
So what you're saying is the talents are basically not interested in working in old technology. Yes. So when you want to have good cybersecurity talents, you also need to have a good technology stack so that they're eager to work in that.
Which might be a catch-22. Which might be a catch-22, is saying, hey, you want to attract the good people, you need good infrastructure, but you want to have good infrastructure because the people will tell you how to do it.
It's really sad in I completely agree. You know, the young talent wants all the cool bells and whistles. It's really sad that they don't think about it in terms of challenge. How challenging and interesting would your job be if you have to secure something that's ancient and full of holes and so on and so forth, versus the new bells and whistles where you just flip some switches and stare at a screen?
I think that's a generation issue, right?
I think
that might be a generation issue. You calling me old?
Is it not easier to go all in the cloud, all in? All cloud providers have so many IT security specialists, and many people use Netflix, many people use Amazon, many people use Microsoft Azure Cloud, and you have so many talents, security talents, and why must on-prem systems? Yes, I know that many people like on-prems, and I think GDPR, but I think this is their own organization problem. This is not a technical problem. Huh?
Well, I totally agree. I mean, it's a bit less challenging for us to attract the good people, as we have really a global infrastructure. We have toolings in place which are super sophisticated. We just even continue to develop and contribute our own tooling. So that really helps in getting the really attractive people. Patrick, just one more thing about this, the customer view. I mean, how should SOC providers really train their customers really to really avoid the effect of human errors?
Oh, that's a really hard one to solve, actually, because I think what we're all used to is to buy a technology, right? And buy a software license and
it'll solve everything.
Yeah, sure. It has all the bells and whistles, and it'll do whatever. And what we tend to forget is that there's actually somebody that has to use the technology to make it do something for me. So, and what I try to do at my company is we don't sell software, we sell service. So we try to use the technology for the customer in the right way, in the right time, and try to give a real usage out of there. And let me come back to the end users. That should be part of the service. So if you try to sell your customer end user training, I think that's a really tough one. Yeah. Because why should he do it? Then you can go through the whole cybersecurity stuff again, but he's never going to do it. So you have to include it into your service, and it's just a mandatory thing.
It's interesting. We take almost the exact opposite. Same challenge, same problem. We've tried to make it so that we don't need to train anybody, that it's impossible, essentially, to get wrong. You know, you run it and you never think about it again, kind of a thing. Is that something you considered, or is it just not possible with the technology?
So I think from the technology side, of course, we try to analyze all anomalies across all technologies, yada, yada, and get everything out. And until now, we didn't have a successful attack onto one system that we manage. But still, you have to train the end users on all the other stuff they do. Because it's not only the company data that you need to protect. It may be their LinkedIn profile, where there is some information that might be interesting for espionage or a hacking attack, that'll then be impossible to detect. So they have like a personal phone. They have their GMX or WebDE or Yahoo Mail. Yeah. They may have forwarded something there some time before. So, and that's what we try to include into our service when we train the end users, that there's no backdoor from a private entity into the company data. That's basically the only reason to do it.
Makes sense.
Right. So, gentlemen, I mean, time is passing by. We have a couple of minutes left. May I ask you just to give me kind of the 3 top do's, don'ts here for the audience as well, as a takeaway. Hey, what should they do? What should they do? What they should not do? Can you just kind of start with Fred, actually? What do you think is the top 3 things, do's and don'ts?
I think there are normal messages. Do's, yeah, do bring your IT systems as a private user and on companies on a more or less good level. It depends, of course, on the institution. The don't click on any messages where you have links inside. It's so easy, but everybody of us can come in a situation where you're exhausted, you had a hard day, you just want to check emails, and boop, oh yeah, DHL, your box, your message is lost. So, and then you click, and then you're lost. As a company, don't even think that you won't become a victim. Cybercrime concerns everybody and all of us on the world. So don't think IT security is just an unimportant add-on. It's not, it's relevant. And another don't pay ransom. That's my recommendation. I explained why. And another do, especially for companies, if you became a victim, yes, trust the police. Especially in Germany, we have a good developed community, in other countries also. Trust the police, call the police. And not only then we can catch the criminals. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. Mine's going to be a little bit, rather than towards companies, I'm thinking more towards individuals. Although certainly if you're working at a company, you might consider these. Use a password manager. The password that you made up, that you think is so clever, is trivial. I can pop it in seconds on my GPU. I promise you, whatever you think it is, it's not clever. Use a password manager. Update your stuff. Whether you're a company, whether you're an individual, whatever it is, it's a pain. It is so incredibly frustrating, sometimes expensive, but the reason that there's updates, yeah, certainly there's some bug fixes and so on and so forth, but one of the main reasons there's updates is because somebody like me figured out how to use that to do really bad things. And so I think if you do those, got one more for you. Don't trust. When you're reading email, you are actively under attack, whether it's ads, whether it's phishing, whatever it is. Don't trust anything that you are getting from the outside like that. It's just dangerous.
Except the police.
Except the police. Well, the police don't generally contact you.
If it's a real one.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not. So let's do phishing from police.
This is brilliant.
Sorry. So I think yeah, Rob had some very, very great points. Using password manager is always a very, very good recommendation. Or try to use services passwordless would be like the next level. I would like to keep it simple. Just don't think that cybersecurity is something that can be done. There is no way to finish the task of getting your system secure, because the technology will evolve both for the attackers and for the defenders, and there's always new tools to the market and new technology that can be used. So let's just try to keep at it and see it as a marathon, not a sprint. And yeah, we're all here happy to help. Thank you.
Yeah. Don't trust, verify is my first step. The second step is use multi-factor authentication. And third time, I think cloud first is a really good strategy to increase cyber attacks for your company.
There's one takeaway I took in Fred's discussion backstage. I mean, if you cannot trust video conferencing anymore, because the people in power of your company could be, in the video conferencing call, artificial, it could be generated by AI. So how do you solve it? And you said, hey, there's one simple thing. Just agree a secret with these guys, like a password. So whenever somebody asks you to do something, and he's usually in power of giving you this information, or at least being able to really drive you in that direction, hey, make sure that you can ask him a secret, a question, something that you both know. And that's a good way, really assuring that the other side, artificial or not, at least you can trust them. So we have to generate new levels of trust, new processes. We have to make sure that in a company we get the basis of our business back. I mean, I love to meet all people physical here, and that would be the final way of getting trust again, but we cannot just change the world in that way. So we will meet electronic, digital video conferencing. And one way is really use the secret technology using software and in your systems, use it on a natural behavior as well. Gentlemen, it was an honor to have you here on stage. Thank you very much. Big applause from the audience. Thank you. So, all I can say, stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.